Steven, I took drugs before the show. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I took drugs. I took Excedrin. I'm on drugs. I'm a golden god. I'm on drugs.
Steven.
Yes?
I'm so relaxed right now because I'm on drugs.
What kind of drugs?
I take the best drugs, Excedrin.
Okay.
Dude, Excedrin
Migraine
is such
relief?
I had a headache last night. I forgot to take it this morning, but I slept fine. It's probably because I was out and about in the heat, might have been a little dehydrated, and that's what happens sometimes for me. I get one of those headaches. I took the Excedrin this morning when I got into the studio. Oh my God, it just relaxes me, Steven. I'm on
It's
drugs.
loaded with caffeine.
It does the opposite effect of everybody else. It just puts me it like really calms and relaxes me and focuses me.
Oh, wow.
It does every time.
I can't really take it before bed because it will keep me up. I mean, it's just loaded with aspirin and caffeine. And
it puts me to sleep every time.
if you have a headache, you have some Excedrin and a nice cup of coffee and you are fired up. At least I am.
I'm so relaxed right now. It's crazy. It makes me focus. It makes me relaxed. It makes me feel loosey-goosey.
You sure you didn't mix it up with like a muscle relaxer or something?
Yeah, this is what Excedrin does to me. I'm like an outlier. This is just what it does.
Was it maybe a pill labeled Xanax or?
No, it had E on it.
Oh, that's the party
shit.
drug.
Oh, fuck, wrong one. I'm on drugs. I'm rolling right now.
Jeez.
Damn, I've never done any of that. Because Excedrin is so good, I couldn't imagine what other drugs do to you.
Yeah, but Excedrin doesn't actually do anything to you. Like, yeah, it relieves your headache, but it doesn't actually change your state of mind.
It changes my state of mind. It makes me feel relaxed and like loose and quiet.
That's
like
funny.
It's weird.
Huh.
It's weird what it does to me. It really just quiets everything for me.
And you're one that's really weird about taking any type of like drug or medicine to better yourself if you're not feeling great. I feel like that's like a last resort for you.
It is, but I've gotten better with if that cold thing comes along, those Sudafed cold and sinus that you have to get, or Tylenol cold and sinus, the one you have to get over the count, like you
The
literally have to
Sudafedrin version.
Like,
yeah.
why? I'm like, wait. I got to give you my ID to get this shit. Like, just sell me the fucking drugs. Do I look like I'm gonna go make some meth?
They would make meth. Yeah, they would buy a ton of it and make meth.
Do I look like I'm making meth? I mean, yes, over there on the counter, I do have a chemist set to mix chemicals. I have everything.
You do have the Breaking Bad set in the factory.
I do have the Breaking Bad set over here now that I mix my own chemicals.
You're about to shave your head? What?
For the darker. What? I'm on drugs.
It's such a great series and movie. I haven't watched
Almost Famous?
Almost Famous in a while. We named a preset after that.
We did. Kate Hudson's now singing.
I saw she just put out an album.
Yeah.
I saw her buddy Mike Adam was interviewing her, and I'm like, why is he's works in radio, and I'm like, why is he interviewing her? Didn't realize she sang and had a whole album coming out.
She was on Stern and everything. I have no desire to see
Is she good? I haven't listened.
I heard she was actually pretty good. That's just not my jam.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, this is episode 103. We got a lot to talk about today, and
Yes.
Jared's nice and relaxed, and I'm listening. I'm Dr. Fraser Crane, and I'm listening.
Yeah, but usually people like the opposite Jared. The ranting, angry Jared. That's what RAWtalk's
Steven,
all about.
I'm sorry. I'm on drugs. I can only imagine what's that drug that you used to take back in the day?
What drug?
Adderall?
Oh, well, I mean, I took that one time in my life.
What did it do to you?
It made me hyper focused, and I was like, I want to do so much work right now. I'm going to finish I just wanted to do everything. All the studying, all the homework. I'm like, is this what it's like to be a normal person and I can focus?
I'm so worried about using anything that's going to change my brain because...
Well, you were one that never experimented with any type of drug, minus something loose like marijuana.
I wasn't until like 26 where I smoked something.
And you probably took like 2 hits and that's it.
I mean, it was really amazing the first... I was super loaded with Perry in the back of the bus when he was smoking because it's like a hot box, and I was just so high. I was super...
Secondhand high.
Yeah, when Modest was here and I did those photos, I was loaded and I hated it. I was so anxious. A couple times I did with my brother, I felt so much better. And then one time at my first loft, I smoked. I was like, I need to do everything. I need to break this down. I need to do this. I got so hyper.
See, I can't, no matter what strain I smoke, I cannot, it doesn't work well for me.
Have you tried cock?
I have not tried that strain, no. I believe you have, though, many times. What?
That's right, Steven. I'm Mickey Mouse. I'm coming out as gay. My pronouns are he, they.
I love that you're trying to make this Mickey Mouse work.
It's because it's funny, Steven. I'm going to beat that dead horse.
As you always do when one joke works.
Do it again.
But it just doesn't work well for me smoking. I just get super anxious, like the complete opposite of what you're supposed to be, like just mellow and chill. I get really anxious and can't get anything. I can't focus. I don't know how people function off that. It doesn't work for me.
I heard that your boss is doing random drug tests now.
Well, then our other editor might have an issue.
I don't know that Dan smokes like he used to smoke. He was a chimney
I talked
back
to him
in
the other
day.
day. He said he still does, but I don't think to the level that he did.
Was he high, Steven, at work? Was he high at work?
No, because I could usually tell when he came in like that before. I mean, that's just how he was. He just was always like that.
He was just super toasted all the time. And then
and he would act like he could get everything done properly. And I'm like, Dan, do you watch your edits when you're like that? Because it's not the same when you're not high.
Yeah, well, years ago when he had the kid, but yeah, I think it was even before the kid, he cut back and turned it off.
Yeah,
so
yep.
He was just like, oh, it's so much better. The whole drug movement thing, people that I was reading a study, it said that more people are reaching for marijuana every day than a drink every day. And there's the people like, well, it's not as bad as drinking. I'm like, you're still replacing one thing with the other, and you're smoking, and it just whatever. It's not my jam. If you want to be in that jam, I just think that you're always in a fog, and
yeah, same.
And it just anyway. My dad, we talked about him flying last week, right?
Oh,
to
yes.
España, Barcelona. Barcelona.
Why'd you say with a lisp? Barcelona.
No, it's Barcelona. I think what do they say that in? I don't know if it's in Hot Tub Time Machine. I know they say White Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
What movie
Follow
says
the White Buffalo?
Barcelona.
And then what is the white rabbit is Matrix, right?
White Buffalo. The White Buffalo. White Buffalo. Hot Tub Time Machine might be one of the most hilarious movies I've ever seen.
It's so good. The second one was
no, thank you. But the first one, I just love that Lugal, for
what's
God's
his
sake.
name who kept losing his arm?
Lugal.
Every time he would almost lose it. They're like, this is when it happens.
It's gonna happen. No.
Yeah, and then Lugal,
shit.
yeah. Oh,
anyway,
so
my dad ended up flying out first class and getting first class on the way home, thanks to me. I put in for my system-wide upgrades for him, and they came through. So his first ever international travel is his future travel's ruined because he got to lay flat and maybe eat food on the plane and just...
He got a little taste of the good life.
He was in 1D or something. That's like the front of the plane. And now he's in 2D or something on the way home. So I have to go pick him up at the airport after the show. So
did he have a good time? Have you been talking to him all week or what?
I mean, I talked to him. He's my dad, I hear.
So he's miserable in Spain.
I don't think he was fully miserable. No, I think he enjoyed certain things. I think he didn't like the way that the trip was in terms of, it's one of these travel companies, and so it's 2 days here, 2 days there, 2 days somewhere else. He didn't like that he had to pack up every 2 days and go somewhere else. He just wants to go somewhere and be there.
Yeah.
And so, but that's why I said, I'm like, look, it's fine. You needed to go experience a trip. So you went with an organization or a company that puts these things together. Now you know what you like, and now you know what you don't like. You can more better plan for the future. You want to do more museums. Like you could book Paris, and you could be in Paris for 7 or 8 days, and you can do 2 museums a day if you want, or 1 museum every day, and get a tour guide to literally take you around everywhere. Spend the money on that.
Would he be one that would like a cruise?
No.
I'm just wondering because you're going from place to place, but you don't have to really pack up, and obviously you're just...
No, cruises are the worst things ever. I mean, I know he talked about it. I think
I've
he
never
might have
been
done
on
one.
But I know some people that really love cruises, and then a lot of people that hate cruises.
I have zero desire to be locked up. I don't like all inclusive places because, one, I'm not drinking, and that's like the biggest thing there. It's like, I just drink all the time. Like, that's not my jam. And just being locked in a boat, I don't need to do that. I'm on a boat. I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do it.
Well, we found out the hard way that you don't do well on boats.
That was a different
during the
type
air
of
show.
boat.
Yes,
that
it
was a different type of boat, Steven.
I've never
That-
seen you so uncomfortable in my life.
The word is incapacitated
Oh
for
my God.
5 hours.
You couldn't even talk.
No, 5 hours. I sat at the front of the boat, fucking drilled
Seasick.
by open sea.
Yeah.
It was just horrible. Oh, now it's making me
For context,
making me think of that.
We went to photograph the Atlantic City Air Show, and we were going to be show center or center show, whatever they call it.
That center boat.
Center boat. So literally the boat in the center of the show where the planes fly right over, and you're only half a mile off the shore, if that. And we started to go out in the open water, and all of a sudden both of us started to get seasick. We didn't take Dramamine or any of the stuff to help out with that and to counter that. And Jared, just like you said, you were incapacitated. You couldn't even talk to me. You would just shake your head and be like, I can't.
couldn't.
Nope. You were going to throw up, I guess,
couldn't
right?
shoot anything. No, I didn't. I wanted to. But I hear like there's a new, there's Dramamine patches. I heard that there's a new thing called a Dramamine cock ring. You put it around your cock and it... No, that's not funny, Steven?
It's just so random.
Well, I thought that was funny. You get it. You put it around... Instead of a patch, you put it. You get it?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I thought that was a funny one. That's right, Jared. I'm on a Dramamine with my cock ring.
The Dramamine, though, if you don't take it at the right time, it just doesn't work. You really have to time it accordingly before you get on the boat. And if you take it while you're on the boat, it's just too late at that point. I remember I could at least stand up, and I was trying to get some photos, but then on top of not being level with the horizon and everything, and my mind also going nuts, I was looking through a viewfinder, which was even worse because now my horizon's really messed up, and I started to get real sick too. But at least I could kind of tolerate it where you couldn't even stand up. So cruises are out for you, but again, it's different with a giant boat, obviously, much more stable.
Here's what we've got coming up today, just to give you a little heads up. We're going to talk about some Chinese lenses. We're going to talk about TikTok going to 60 minutes for horizontal videos. I got to go to Boston, so Steven's going to help me figure that out, the logistics for that. Panasonic S9 was announced. Steven wants to talk about that.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about some Canon rumors of the R5 Mark II for the specs, and that's what we're going to talk about. But real quick, guess who came into Morimoto the other day when I was there? I mean, I told you, but
I was going to say you told me so. I'm not going to fake it.
I can't fake it. Like, let me tell you guys. So I'm sitting in Morimoto.
By the way, Jared's always like, save it for the show. And he never tells me stuff beforehand usually, but because he doesn't want to be fake. You're always like, we got to do it real. It's got to be real.
Yeah, I would have had you guess, but let's see if our
I would have
viewers
never
at
guessed
home,
that though.
Well, some people were able to guess it because
Really?
I gave them a few. I gave them a few good hints.
Well, if you give them context clues, yeah.
I gave them context. I'm like, okay, it's a male, all right, and they're not an athlete. They're not a celebrity like that. They're not a movie star.
But are they famous?
They're in a politician role,
okay, there you
but
go.
not in the United States. And so when you go there, they start thinking, okay, who's a male, who's a politician, but not in the United States that's big. And so it turns out that in town was a Canadian delegation. And I was told, I mean, I was already at Morimoto when I was told that Justin Trudeau was going to be coming in to have dinner at the table next to us.
Oh.
And so when he walked in, I was like, blame Canada, cause the country's gonna ride. Tomorrow night, those freaks will fry.
Did he have a floppy head?
I was like, why is your head not floppy, buddy? You're not my buddy. And he was like, you're not my buddy, pal. I'm not your guy friend. And I was like,
Still
hey.
one of the best episodes.
I was like, where's Terrence and Phillip? And I was like, wait a second. Why are your wheels not square? But anyway, it was pretty cool. He's taller than I thought. He's a handsome devil. And
looks
so
like
he came in and they had their like Secret Service people. It didn't look like they carried guns because it looked like they carried maple syrup. And they were like, oh, hey, sorry. Yeah, nice to see you. Very nice to meet you. We're here to protect the Justin Trudeau, eh? And he's going to sit right here. And, oh, thank you. And I was surprised that they didn't come and try to check my guns. And just to make sure, because I was packing, man. Man, are my arms big. Because Justin Trudeau came up, he's like, oh, you got some big arms, eh?
Were you rocking the sleeveless I Shoot Raw shirt?
No, I wasn't sleeveless.
Oh,
but I was trying to time going to the bathroom at the time that Justin Trudeau was going to go to the bathroom. Like, I couldn't get up and walk when he went because they would like try to tackle me. So when I went to the bathroom, I like made signals without even looking at him because I had to walk past his table. I'm like, going to the bathroom, not looking, so that the Secret Service-y people of Canada wouldn't like try to tackle me, because they all look. But 2 minutes after I got back from peeing, he went to the bathroom, and damn it, I wanted to cross him in the hallway and be like,
I wanted a sword fight.
I'm like, hey, Justin Trudeau, very nice to meet you, eh? No, I have some friends in common, and I was going to ask him about it.
So he was literally at the table next to you.
No, I sit at the bar. I sit at the sushi bar.
Were you by yourself?
No, I had 2 other people with me.
Okay.
But I was at the sushi bar, and then there's the big table where we had my birthday dinner a couple years back.
Yes, right behind you.
He was right there, so he was like 4 feet over, and that was it.
Did you lean in, try to listen in on the conversation? Top secret maple syrup talk?
Yeah. So, guys, maple syrup trade here. We're gonna have to make sure that we double down on tapping those trees, eh?
Extra sappy this season.
Yeah. So he was in town for some summit. I believe he was talking with Kamala Harris or something.
I saw he was there for her. Yeah.
Something. But no, it was pretty cool. He came in dressed down. He wasn't in a suit or anything, and it was kind of cool to have like a president of another. He's like basically the president of their country, being parliament and all that.
Yeah.
And that was that, Stephen.
Very cool.
That's Morimoto.
Small world.
Yeah, it is always kind of cool when you're sitting there and there's a bigger celebrity than me that walks in.
I question how often do actual celebrities go to Morimoto?
I will tell you. As often as I go. No,
I was waiting for it.
M. Night
every night, because I
Shyamalan.
eat there every night.
M. Night Shyamalan frequents there.
Shyamalama Ding Dong?
The main Mila Djokovic was there one night.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Fifth Element. She's the main character. The woman. Lulu
Multipass?
Dallas Multipass.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
She was there. One day, Scrub Daddy was there.
Scrub Daddy.
Scrub Daddy.
I watched his Shark Tank episode, by the way, the follow-up. He's just making millions banking that.
Yes, he and his table were trying to hit on the 2 ladies sitting at another table who didn't know Scrub Daddy. Oh, by the way, he has his shirt down with hair coming out on his chest and a Scrub Daddy necklace on.
I have Scrub Daddies, actually.
Do they work?
Nicole's a big fan. Yes.
Yeah?
They do work, actually.
Well, good for him. I mean, I love the fact that he created something and he did that. Oh, Mystery Man was there one night because that's where we went together for dinner.
Oh, yes.
He really liked that.
He likes spending a lot of money on his food.
Well, I mean, if you're going to eat, you might as well eat well. And you can do Morimoto economically if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
And you don't order bottles of sake. Like Mystery Man, we ordered some bottles of sake.
Oh.
That's right. Hey, would you like some sake there, sir? Anyway, so those are some of the famous people that have come in there. But
yeah, M. Night Jared Polin.
M. Night Shyamalan, he's there a lot.
He actually lives in Philly, right?
He lives in the suburbs of Philly.
Yeah, and every movie
all
is
his movies
Philly. Yeah.
And shows take place in Philly.
Yep.
So let's get to the Chinese lens thing. Since I've been reviewing some Chinese lenses, every other Chinese lens manufacturer is like, "Oh, we need to get onto this."
How do they sound, Jared?
I almost did it, Steven. I almost did it. I'm not going to do it because it's email.
I don't think they sound like that.
And it's email. And don't you think I don't try to read the email in their broken
native
English
tongue?
No, I don't try. I do it though. I read it and it's like, I'm not going to do it, but no. So every one of them is emailing. They're like, "Would you like us to send you lenses?" And do that in your best imitation voice.
I mean, it's like when you email me, I read it in an angry Jared Polin voice every time.
Not when I'm on drugs, Steven.
Because it's
Like
just
today.
so blunt half the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty blunt and to the point. And
zero email etiquette.
Steven, there's only one way to be. And that's how are you trying to be lately? I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately.
So what are these Chinese lens people saying?
So these Chinese lens people, they all want me to review their lenses. They're like, "We'd like to send you a lens in exchange for a review." I'm like, "Hi, your lens is $212. I don't think we will be doing that." I'm like, and so I
don't do
reply
paid
back.
reviews anyway.
Well, I replied back as I replied to everybody, no matter who they are. "Hi, thank you. You're more than welcome to send me a lens. I do not guarantee any reviews, any coverage, anything. If I do choose to review it, I will be saying whatever the fuck I want to say about it. But remember, I say what I want to say.
By the way, I'm pretty sure we already talked about this last week, but go on.
I don't remember because I'm on drugs.
I think verbatim we talked about this.
I don't know, Steven. I'm on drugs.
Okay, there you go.
Did I try doing it as Mickey Mouse?
Oh, my God.
So anyway, the Chinese. So I have an Astro Hori lens. Mikey reached out to me. I think I emailed them back. I haven't heard back from Mikey. Astro Hori. That lens they just sent is like an 85-1.8. I took it out of the box. I'm like, this feels like one of the greatest, best made lenses I've ever held. And then I got some 7 Artisans lenses that came as well. That's all I have to say about Chinese lenses. But there's a lot of lenses. I don't want to review everything. I just need to I don't care sometimes. It's just whatever. I don't want to. Anyway, we don't need to go into what I want or don't want. But speaking of wanting and don't want, I'm not on TikTok, but Tickety Talk is testing out 60-minute horizontal video uploads. I don't know if that's going to work. Because they've trained their followers, their viewers, to just swipe.
It's the opposite problem that YouTube has, where YouTube, the audience is used to long form content. They don't necessarily want shorts, although I know people out there do watch. We had a couple people text in saying they do actually watch shorts regularly,
Yeah.
But TikTok's the opposite. They're used to that 10-second fix, nonstop swiping, and not long form content. I think it's going to be a struggle for people to get on board with that. But then again, my wife will be like, I just watched half a movie on TikTok. I'm like, what?
That's weird, but
super weird.
Remember, Instagram tried to do Instagram TV years ago, which is no different than TikTok trying to do it. I would consider doing Tickety Talk thing. I have a friend that I met a long time ago who does TikTok. He does a lot of the content for one of the biggest families on TikTok, and I don't know, man. He may want to one day just work with us on something, and I may just give him the keys to the TikTok and say, look, you have access to all of my content. What do you want to do for that? If you want to spearhead this, go for it. Because maybe it could lead to us selling more presets, because that's where we make our bread and butter.
The goal was always to lead everyone back to the YouTube channel, to the long form content, I think. And it's hard, though, because I feel like TikTok, we tried for a little bit, tried to do like Instagram Reels and then put them on TikTok as well. But I think they were almost like a little too polished.
Yeah.
I feel like TikTok needs to be more organic. At least that's what I've been told.
Well, I'd let this guy go for it. We got nothing to lose,
exactly.
Right?
I agree.
Like if he can go into the Frokive or take every piece of content, work with you and whatever, and just getting access, he could just flat out go for it. And I might end up doing that. That might be an option. So
yeah, I mean, we've tried it all. We've tried, like I said, Reels, TikToks, all that, and it just doesn't seem to work out too. I mean, every once in a while one pops, but most just kind of flop.
And it also brings up a discussion about multiple channels on YouTube. There was a time where everybody on YouTube, big YouTubers, were starting multiple channels. They'd start them and then they'd never keep up with them, or they would realize that those channels aren't getting a lot of views and that they should focus on their main stuff that got them the interest from viewers.
I follow a lot of lawn care on YouTube, which is very odd to say out loud. But I noticed there's one creator that I watch. He does really nice polished content, and his long form stuff is super educational, a lot of tutorial style stuff. And he just started doing vlog stuff, which he said takes him like 2-3 hours to put together. He shoots it on his phone. It's very laid back content. Doesn't really think about too much. Just kind of like a day in the life. It's not nearly as polished as his other. He said his main channel, he takes 40 to 80 hours to do a single video, which I think is crazy.
How many views is he getting?
He gets a lot of views, like closer to, I'd say north of 250,000 per video.
We're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong, Steven. Lawn care, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, not every lawn care channel is like that. He's probably number 1 or 2, I'd say. But I do think that they start this second channel to kind of have more creative freedom, have a creative outlet to kind of do whatever you want, not worry about it, stuff like that. But in turn, you end up worrying about it. You end up making it just like your main channel and worrying about numbers. And at first you're like, this is going to be whatever. It's going to be laid back, raw, unpolished. And it ends up being just like the main channel, a business to some extent. I think of Potato Jet, for example. He started that second channel where it was a vlog channel and it was very raw. And he abandoned it last year, it looks like, because it was probably becoming just as much work as his main channel. And I do think you need to have some kind of hybrid between the two. You do one for them, one for you. You need to have that creative freedom to a certain extent. It's kind of like your whole Cooking with Jared video. It's not going to do great, but it's something you want to do regardless of views. You just want to get it out there.
I agree with that. We debated for years. Back in 2015, one of the biggest debates when other channels were blowing up at the time, one of my debates was, do I kill my channel and start over?
You wanted to start over, yeah.
It was a big discussion around then because
that
Peter
was
McKinnon
when time.
Peter, Jessica Kobasi, who's fallen off the face of the earth in the photo community, Mango Street, who fell off the face of the earth, and they got 1 million subscribers, can't do anything with their channel, and so we stuck with it, reevaluated the content we were doing, stayed focused, redid our focus for the content, and here we are. Right? We're focused on a specific type.
We really changed up the thumbnail and title game because you would just throw up whatever before and not even think about it.
Well, what used to work, you're like, well, this is what it is, and so it should do good.
Or it'd be like a screenshot from the video half the time.
Yeah, but we're in a good place. We like where we are. We like what we're doing. So that's why we continue to go there. But no second channel.
Stay the course.
YouTube was telling us we were supposed to start a second channel for our podcast, but obviously it didn't make sense to us to start another channel for the podcast. And then, of course, they abandoned the idea of separating it and putting it all on one channel.
Yep.
That's why we don't listen to a lot of the things that the YouTube creator people tell you, because they don't know. They just don't know, and they're just pushing what YouTube is trying to push at the time, and we have to make the decision on what makes the most sense for us.
Agreed.
Let's move on. As you know, I'm doing my 4x5 project, and I want to take it on the road, which means I want to shoot the old style camera at the old stadiums in Major League Baseball, or the classic looking.
Yeah.
So there's Boston with Fenway, there's Baltimore with Camden Yards, there's Wrigley Field in Chicago. So I booked Boston. I booked my room. I booked for 2 days. I'm going to shoot the Phillies there for 2 days. There's a 3-day game, 3-game series, and I'm going to do the first 2 games, and if I decide to stay for a third, I could obviously change some things. The big debate here, though, is from Philly to Boston, there's 2 ways to go. Well, 3 ways. You could drive, which is like 5.5 to 6 hours, which I don't want to do in the Tesla. There's the train. You could take Acela, which is 4 hours and 55 minutes to 5 hours and 12 minutes, depending on which Acela you take.
Nope.
Or you could fly, which is about 1 hour and 20 minutes. So my debate, and some people are like, well, you do need to take your gear up with you, and you'd have to get your film checked a certain way, and it's just much easier to take the train.
Think about scanning the film. I forgot about that.
It's not going through. I'll have to hand check it.
Yeah. No, but I just didn't even think about that. It's been so long since I've had to think about that.
I'm not putting it through the scanner. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to ask them to hand check it. I'm pretty sure you can put it through the scanner, but like if it fogged everything, that would be so upsetting. So back in the day, if you had film speed over like 1,000 or 1,600, it said do not put it through the scanner. This is back in the day. There also used to be lead bags you could put your film in, and you could have it go through the scanner. But after 9/11, all of that changed, because all they would just do is up the sensitivity, which ups the radiation. So I just have to hand them the box and be like, I can't scan this.
It looks like most of the current X-ray scanners at the airports will only damage higher ASA films. Like anything under 800, I think you'll be okay.
But I'm still going to ask for them to hand check and just use the wandy wand. I don't want to put it through because it's film.
Yeah, I wouldn't test it.
So I needed to take that into consideration. So one of the things I was thinking is, okay, if I take the train, it's 5 hours, and I get there and I don't have to go through TSA or do any of that stuff. But I also need to sit on my ass for 5 hours.
Yeah.
That just seems, and the cost is $248 each way. When you look at a flight, the flight is $238 round trip.
I was going to say, I think the reason I flew to Boston last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was because the flight was actually cheaper than the train. And obviously it was only an hour and a half flight or something like that compared to a 5-hour train ride.
Yeah, and so I know that people are like, well, the timing ends up being very similar. It ends up being like 4 or 5 hours if you fly anyway. So if you fly, look, I get there like an hour early, which means I leave an hour and a half early from my house. And I still end up more than an hour early at that point. So that's an hour and a half. The flight is less than an hour and a half, but call that 3 hours. And then you have to get to where you're going. Give yourself less than an hour, about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, to get to where you're going. It's still less time. My take, and it's less money. And there's a lot more flights going than trains.
So your flight, you said $230?
It was like $230 round trip right now.
What day are you flying during the week?
I think it's a Tuesday.
I think I flew on a Thursday, and I'm looking up. Actually, I have my confirmation right here. I paid $180 for that flight, all in. I don't think I even used miles because it was so cheap.
I'm not going to use miles. I'm going to pay for it, and then I'm going to take. There's 2 plane options. There's the A319, and then there's the A320. The A320 has a larger first class. There's only 4 seats in the A319. Being that I'm Executive Pro, Platinum, Grand, Express, Best of the Best with honor, sir, I get upgraded into the first class cabin because, I'm bougie as fuck, as Mystery Man would say.
I mean, dude, it's such a quick flight anyway. It doesn't even matter if you're back, with the peasants like me.
No, it doesn't matter. But
it's an hour 15 flight. I'm looking it up right now. Wow.
I just like sitting there and being like, "That's right, walk by."
It's one of those flights. By the time you take off, the seatbelt light goes back on 20 minutes later, and you're already landing.
And that's probably why I'm going to go book the flight today.
All day,
is
dude.
that it just makes sense to do that, and I'll deal with the film stuff. I rather only have. I don't care if the time is exactly the same. It's that I don't. 5 hours sitting on a train is death to me, and an hour and a half. Like, I'd rather sit at the airport for an hour, get on and then get there.
I was going to say it kind of equals out though, because you end up going to the airport 2 hours early or 3 hours early anyway.
Well, I'm not going 3 hours early, Steven.
You sure?
I just told you an hour early is what I'll be doing. Well, I said an hour and a half because I'll leave an hour and a half early, but I'll get there within 15, 20 minutes and get through TSA, and then I'll be there. That's fine. I'd rather do that than sit on a train for 5 hours and pay double. And yeah,
that's the issue.
Well, the money may even out. I pay my driver like $80, right? That's more expensive than taking like $35 a shitty Uber because my guy's reliable, right? He lives around the corner. He's a good guy. I like him, and so yeah, I pay him a little bit more money because he's consistent and he'll show up at 4 a.m. Not that I'm going to leave that early, but then you also have to take into consideration how much is an Uber from the airport to the hotel, and then from the hotel to the airport. It's going to be $30 to $40. I looked it up on Uber already. I put in Logan International to where I'm staying, and it looks like, so it's still going to be less money even with those Uber trips.
I mean, Boston isn't huge, and I'm pretty sure the airport's like right there. Yeah.
They just have a lot of traffic. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll book the flight, and then I'll come home, and then I'm going to drive to Baltimore because I think I can park at the hotel. And
yeah, I'll stay 2.5 hour drive, if that.
A little less, 219, I think. I'll probably.
There you go, 219 to be exact. I didn't look it up.
It's something like that. Well, yeah, I'm very exact, Steven.
Oh, I know.
I'll be going to Camden Yards for 2 games, and then I'll either stay or just come home.
Cool.
But I think I'll drive down there. Makes more sense. I could train to Baltimore, but that doesn't make any sense. I'll just drive and stay at the hotel.
Speaking of hotels, that's the issue, is the hotels are what's going to be expensive, especially in Boston. I remember the hotel rooms being pretty pricey, like $500 a night.
Yeah, you want to know what I did?
What?
I called the hotel.
Of course you did.
And I was like, do you know who I am?
You tried to get a discount? No,
so the way that I did it is I emailed the marketing person at the hotel. I sent a message on Instagram, and I didn't get a reply. The way that I worded it is...
Do you know who I am?
Do you offer content creator discounts? I didn't say, hi, I'm an influencer. I want to stay here for free. I didn't do that because that's bullshit. So I make them aware that I'm saying I'm looking for a discount in exchange for me saying that I stayed at this place and showing some, doing some Insta stories around it is why you would want to stay at this hotel.
I still, by the way, real quick, side note, that whole hotel tour that you did in Vegas, I believe, 27 grand. What was it? 15 grand a night.
Yeah, it was a great video.
I know, and I'm shocked that it did like no views.
It didn't do
still
a lot
to this
of
day.
views.
It only has 29,000 views, and it's called Insane Hotel Room Tour. And you put $15,000 a night in the thumbnail, and it got nothing.
I should just change it to Las Vegas Hotel Room Tour.
I think at this point it's just dead. I don't know if it'll even have any traction anymore.
I should just change the title to that though. Like,
I really thought that was going to take off.
I did, because usually in that, like, I looked up other people's videos and they were very similar. I did a very similar thumbnail. It just didn't work. Whatever. But so the guy, I never got an email back from them or a call. So I called again. I got the front desk. I told the guy, I'm like, hey, is the marketing guy? He's like, oh, he's only in blah, blah, blah. Send him an email. I'm like, hey, I did do that. This is what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to see if there's a discount. The guy was like, let me see if I could talk to someone. Let me see what I could do. And he came back and he's like, I can give you 15% off.
Cool.
But which is a good thing that he did, because it's just like, I know how much these rooms are. I know how much. There was another hotel, like the Yotel is cheap because it's like $219. This place is like $560 a night.
I think that's how much mine. Yeah.
It's insane. But you know what? The guy came back. He's like, do you want to book it? I can give you this discount for now. And look, it's expensive. It is expensive. But you know what? The location to where I need to be is perfect. And so I put it on hold. I'm going to do it. If they end up giving me more of a discount, so be it. If they don't, it's a business expense. Whatever. I need to do it. I need to be there. And I need to not just worry about saving money on everything. So 15% off is what I got. It's still $900 plus for 2 nights. Unfortunately, it is what it is.
I mean, still, you're 15% off. You're almost saving $150, give or take,
I'm saving the tax, basically. It's not that much.
Well, still something is what I'm saying.
It's something. That's why I did it. I'm like, well, it was nice that the guy got back on the phone and I made him aware. I'm like, remember, I'm not asking for free. I'm asking for a discount. I would like free.
I am asking for free.
No, well, I mean, if it came down to it, like, hey, if you make some Insta stories or do a reel when you leave, because I wouldn't do it while I'm there because I don't want people to know where I'm at. But if I do a reel there, and they're like, yeah, that would be awesome, tag us in it or whatever, then I would consider it. Or, I mean, of course I would do it. But whatever. Anything to save a little bit, why not ask? If you can, it's worth it. That's a value that I offer. I might as well try to save money.
As we've always said, the worst thing they can say is no.
Exactly. So it sounds like I'm most likely going to be flying. I just think that makes the most sense. And if I need to change to stay another night, it's easy for me to change because, I got direct access to the platinum desk.
I know you don't usually like to give out exact dates, but is this June, July? When are you thinking of going?
I mean, it's not hard to figure out when the Phillies play Boston at Fenway. So it's like
I thought you were just shooting like the stadium itself. I didn't realize you were shooting like Phillies at Boston.
Well, I need to actually care a little bit about it. It gives me part of the Phillies story continuing.
Sure, yeah.
So,
no, that makes sense.
What's also cool is one of the oldest stadiums around. Babe Ruth would have played there.
Well, that's
so
why I thought you were going. More
chance of doing some
history of the stadium.
I'm going to focus mostly on stadium stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll see if anything else. Like if Bryce really wants to do some Babe Ruth style stuff, maybe I can get permission to do some on-field early with Bryce, like Babe Ruth style with the same backgrounds that I'm going to pull some old photos of Babe Ruth at Fenway to see if we could do an homage to that.
Very cool.
And I already was connected with their photographer. I believe it's Billy is their name. And I sent them an email and hopefully I don't get shit. Because when you go to a different park, they don't know you. Even though I have that credential, it's just like a matter of you just want to go through the proper channels so that they are cool with it. And I don't see why they wouldn't be cool with it. So I'm going regardless and we'll see how it works out.
Cool. Sounds like a fun trip. Expensive.
All right, let's get to some... Yeah, a little expensive on there, but let's get to this Panasonic S9. You'd like to talk about it. What would you like to talk about the Panasonic S9?
Well, when the rumors were initially stirring up and, the camera leaked weeks ahead of time, everyone kind of knew. We found out that a lot of creators were going on this trip to Japan and we knew a bunch of them. And obviously it's a pretty big expense for Panasonic. They did the whole S5 II trip a year or two ago, whenever that got announced, and everyone got to take home an S5 II. And that's a pretty big camera, especially for the price. It offers a lot. I thought this was going to be kind of Panasonic's A7C II version of the S5 II, more of a affordable, budget-friendly version. The S5 II's baby brother. Well, it kind of is, but at the same time, they really stripped it down, and I think they stripped it down too much. For example, it's the same 24 megapixel sensor, same IBIS, same flip screen, same battery. It's got the open gate 6K video. All the L-mount Sigma lenses are available. Same with Panasonic. So it's got a nice offering, but
Open gate. I had to Google open gate. I didn't know what open gate meant until I Googled it.
yeah. It's nice because you have flexibility of doing vertical format, horizontal, whatever you want to do.
Explain open gate if
So
you can, real
open
quick.
gate, it records video of the entire sensor, so it's not your typical 16:9 aspect ratio video. So you can then easily have more space vertically than horizontally if you want to crop in and do a TikTok video, but you also still have the horizontal part if you want to do a 16:9. You basically have all the flexibility in post to crop. I think of it like shooting 8K, and then you can punch in and do whatever you want. You have a lot more flexibility.
Got it.
Now, like I said, very similar features to the S5 II, but it's a very limited body. There's no EVF. There's no hot shoe or digital hot shoe. It's literally just a cold shoe. Yeah, cold shoe. So no flash. Speaking of no flash, it doesn't have a mechanical shutter. It only has an electronic shutter.
Wait, but can you plug in a microphone?
Yes, there's a mic input. There's no headphone output, though, and no way to actually monitor your audio, which I think is just insane when it's a video-centric body. There's no grip of any sort, so that was your complaint about like the Nikon ZF. Now they do have a small rig accessory, just like the ZF. And just there's lack of controls in general. No joystick, there's just minimal buttons. Now again, electronic shutter only, so you're getting 12-bit RAW files. It does do the 30 frames per second, but it's not a fast readout sensor. So when it comes to photography and stills, you're getting a lot of banding and a lot of rolling shutter in this sensor. Like, at least give it a mechanical shutter of some sort, or limit the frame rate. Give it 6 frames a second, whatever, I don't care. And on top of that, back to the video camera part, it lacks a fan, so it's limited to only 15 minutes of 4K video and 10 minutes of the 6K open gate video. Now, I'm sure you can push it, but it's going to eventually overheat without that fan. I've watched a lot of videos on it, and half the reviewers said it overheated. Half of them said it went on for like 30 minutes. So it's hard to say, but still, a lot of our videos, for example, are like 30 minutes minimum when it comes to the actual raw recording, and then it cuts down to like 15, 20 minutes, whatever it may be. But I think for being a content creator camera, it needs to be at least 30 minutes of 4K video. Now, I do kind of understand it for vlogging. Like, you don't necessarily need an EVF. You don't really need to monitor your own audio. It's a full frame sensor. It's compact. It's got the flippy screen. It's got IBIS. Makes sense for that. But besides that, I just think this camera is really lacking. And the biggest thing is it's $1,500, only $300 less than buying an S5 II that's on sale right now. Like, just buy the S5 II. It's got all the bells and whistles that this thing is lacking. And I don't really see the audience for this. If it was $1,000, that's different.
S5 II is a solid camera.
Offers a lot, especially for that price point. I thought Ted Forbes, our buddy, summed it up pretty well in his video. He said, your expectations need to line up with what the camera will actually deliver.
You know, I didn't get invited on this trip. About 100 or so people from around the world got to go to Japan for this. Most of them are allowed to bring a significant other, which is interesting, that they can travel somewhere with. They allow them to bring,
they don't even need to be a part of their team, like a Tony and Chelsea. It could just be a significant other, just like a vacation.
I mean, kinda, but you then say that they're going to help you out there. You know what I mean? You know, like, they're going to hold my gear and all that stuff. Was I salty about that? Yeah. One of the things that I was told was that they the focus was content creators and not so much still cameras. And then I looked at Petapixel's video, and they're like, well, we were told that they made a specific point on how good of a stills camera this is.
No.
What? It doesn't have a viewfinder.
There's no viewfinder. Again, there's no mechanical shutter.
If you're going to talk about a stills camera and you don't have me in the conversation, I looked at the videos that people put out. I mean, I looked at some of these people that were there, and there's a lot of who? And you look, and it's like, oh, wait a second. You got 12,000 views. You got 600 views. You got 234 views. It's like,
that's
really?
Why, I mean, they spent a good, nice chunk of change on this kind of trip. I mean, you're bringing 2 people out to stay in Japan for a week, and you're inviting, 100 people. That's a lot of money that Panasonic is putting out, which is why I thought this was going to be a very impressive camera. And maybe this was going to be the new norm for them every time they have a big press trip in Japan for a week. But now, after this launch, they might cut back because I saw a lot of negative reviews towards this camera.
I mean, I could have done that. I mean, if you wanted negativity, you could have just called me.
The other thing, too, is they're going after kind of the Fuji X100 series with this camera. Like, Fuji has their film simulations where they have now their LUTs that they're baking into, like, photos, calling it real-time LUTs. Also for video, obviously. They have this whole new app called Lumix Lab. It's a LUT central hub, basically, where you can create a LUT and upload it, and then other people can download it. The odd thing is that I think LUTs are synonymous with log video and not still photography, and instead of calling it a preset or picture style, they're still calling it LUTs to be applied to your photos, which I think is very confusing, especially to people getting into this game. They're going to now think a LUT is for photos and not for video,
so
when every other manufacturer, or picture style. Picture style, I think, across the board means
or
it's
simulation.
Meant for
film simulation.
Or simulation, sure. That kind of goes both ways.
Like me, ha 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 ha, like me.
But the ZV-E1 is kind of a competitor, although that's like $2,000, or no, I think it's $1,900 on sale right now. The R8's $1,500 on sale for $1,200 right now.
The R8's still one of the best cameras. I say it. We got a comparison coming out, right?
We do. It's ready to go in the can. It should be hopefully out this weekend. I'd say is a good time to release it. Really good video. R8 versus R7 versus R10. Which camera to buy?
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I think it's one of the best comparisons we've done, because if you are just getting into the world of real cameras, quote unquote, and you want to go the Canon route, that video not only tells you the differentiators between each camera, but it also, you give a ton of great little tips and tricks along the way, especially if you're just getting into photography. I think it's really good. Yeah. Really solid.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I should probably watch it before I put it live.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the S9. Maybe, I mean, I have a Panasonic sitting here I haven't used. I have a bunch of L-mount Alliance glass that Sigma sent. But I don't know. I don't even have an S9. Like, they didn't offer to send me one. So I don't know. I don't know.
And again, it comes down to just the price point for me. I get it's a limiting camera. That's totally fine if it was priced accordingly, like $1,000. But when it's only $300 less than your S5 II and strips a lot of the main features away, just buy the S5 II. Like, I don't get why. Maybe this camera was meant to be used to introduce this new Lumix Lab app or whatever they have now, and that's going to be the way to move forward. And they just needed something to push it and promote it. I don't know.
Fashion statement, Steven.
It reminds me of the original A7C, where it's very limited. They just kind of had extra parts left over. They're like, let's make a Frankenstein camera and put it out and then refine it for the Mark II or something, the S9 II when that comes out.
But it had a viewfinder, so it had that.
The A7C at least had a viewfinder, yeah.
So let's move on. You discovered an issue in the Canon marketing video for the brand new camera that looks like that periscope camera that they tried to be a still camera.
PowerShot zoom monocular or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. What did they come out with the other day, Steven?
They came out with the PowerShot Golf digital laser rangefinder.
Nice. Nice. That's going to help my golf game. So what this thing is, there's golfers, and they can put this thing up to their eye, and inside there's an overlay that tells them how far they are away from the hole, and it also helps tell them the elevation too, so that real good golfers know how to, what club to pick in order to do it. Oh, it also can shoot video that's image stabilized.
And these things already exist. It's just I think most don't shoot video. Like
Nikon makes one.
Do they? Okay.
They've always made a golf hole finder. I hold it outside. How far am I from that hole?
But the mistake that was in the video was that they forgot to convert the metric system over to the imperial system when it comes to inches versus centimeters and grams versus ounces and pounds.
So how big is this camera, Steven?
They said that in the Canon USA video. It's 91 inches long.
Damn!
And it weighs 151 ounces, which is close to 10 pounds.
That's a big biggin.
I sent a screenshot to our Canon rep, and I was like, I think they made a mistake here. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not a bazooka. It's not 91 inches long. Let me pull out my rangefinder as I pull out my bazooka. A little slip up on their part, but I just thought that was funny when we were watching it.
Yeah, and on a side note, it's not like on YouTube, like on Vimeo, where if you re-edit a video, you can post it at the same link. YouTube makes you take down the video in order to repost it. You can't really make a correction.
They really need to fix that, where you can just... I get why they don't do it.
I get why they don't.
But it's... I wish you could pay a premium or something where you have that option to fix a mistake, or some way to put in the video like a marking that like, hey, this was a mistake after the fact, instead of re-uploading the entire video.
Back in the day, we could do what the hell were those things
called? What were they called? The
not cards,
on-screen
but
annotations? Is that
it
what
was annotations.
Yeah.
I could put an annotation somewhere and a clickable annotation to another site. That was cool back in the day. They got rid of annotations. They're now officially off. So any video that had old annotations no longer have them. But anyway, that's that Canon PowerShot thing. I'm not a golfer, so I'm not going to use it.
Actually, it looks like they did delete the video. I don't see it up there. They had 3 videos before, I'm pretty sure.
It's your fault, Steven.
Whoops.
Speaking of Steven's fault, we got some Canon R5. This is not Steven's fault, by the way. This is my transition. Canon Rumors put out some specs, potential specs for the R5 Mark II.
Oh, I'm so sick of this.
And I'm curious. Yeah, it's a lot. And on top of that, there's like 87 new people who have sources at Canon, and they do seem to have legitimate sources, but everybody's just coming out of the woodworks with rumors this and rumors that. They're just vying to be the next big rumor site like Sony Alpha Rumors.
The scary part is that they're making up these incredible wish lists of specs and putting them online, getting people excited, and then Canon's going to come out with the real camera and its specs, and it probably won't line up and live up to the expectations of these wish list specs. So it could really make or break a new camera.
Yeah, we've seen it throughout the history that rumors of people are like, it didn't have this?
Yeah.
It was supposed to have this. No, those are rumors.
That's what pisses me off, by the way, when people are definitively saying, well, didn't you see the leaked specs? It says this and that. And it's like, these are rumors, guys. These are not real. How do we know? Maybe they are, but I'm just saying, like, they're definitively saying that this camera has this spec or whatever, even though it's just simply a Canon rumor.
And when it doesn't have that spec, they get all upset like it was supposed to in the first place.
Yeah, like they take Canon Rumors as an official source, and it's like, guys, they're just a rumor website at the end of the day. Same with Sony Alpha Rumors and every other rumor website. Rumor, keyword.
Adorama. No, I'm just kidding. So give us the specs. Hit us with some specs from that R5 Mark II that Canon Rumors is calling a CR2.
So 45 megapixel stacked sensor, faster readout than the R3, they're saying. Pre-burst feature superior to that found in the R6 Mark II. So hopefully they'll fix that whole weird, how you had to extract a raw file out of the
video.
Yeah, it's like a video mode. Both mechanical and electronic shutter. And then it says 30 frames per second, but it says mechanical. There's no way that's right. It has to be electronic. Physically, a mechanical shutter can't pass like 16 frames per second, I'm pretty sure.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's they meant to say electronic.
Certain ergonomic design features from the R6 Mark II, probably like the video stills toggle switch, stuff like that. Very minor differences between the R6 and R6 II. All signs point to the R5 Mark II incorporating the smart controller from the R3, new flippy screen mechanism to allow more viewing options. I'm really hoping that means the A7R5 screen, where it both rotates, flips out, and tilts up and down. Best of both worlds, like we've always said. IAF2 will be added, advancements in heat dissipation technology, blah, 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 and that's about it. So, nice refined R5, basically. Hey guys, Future Steven here. Right after we recorded RAWtalk, Canon Rumors happened to put out an updated R5 Mark II spec list and refined some of the specs they initially posted. For example, regarding the frame rate, they are saying that it's 12 frames per second mechanical now and 30 frames per second electronic, so they did flip-flop the whole electronic mechanical frame rate. They're saying no smart controller, and they're saying there will be eye-controlled AF, slight corrections from the previous post. Now, if you recall earlier, they put IAF2 is coming to the R5 Mark II. They were basically talking about eye control, I guess, version 2 coming to the R5 Mark II. And that's about it. Everything else should be just about the same. Again, rumors, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if these are going to be real or not. We'll see.
So are they going after, say, the Nikon Z9 and Z8, right, with a stacked sensor? The Nikon Z9 and Z8 have a super fast readout speed that's faster, a lot faster than the R3, though the R3 I really have never run into issues with any warping. But hearing the specs of this and saying that it's 45 megapixels, 30 frames a second, stacked sensor, new autofocus, says that sounds like it's better than an R3, and then it leaves you scratching your head going, fuck, if this thing can do that, what the hell's an R1 going to do?
That's the thing. I mean, imagine if this has a 45 megapixel stacked sensor and an R1 has like a 30 megapixel stacked sensor like they were initially rumoring. I just can't see that being the case. It's got to have something different about that sensor if it's lower megapixel.
I would see a lot of people, a lot of sports shooters love the 45 megapixels for the croppability. A lot of them are still shooting with R5s on their cameras because the R5 is still a fantastic camera for stills because you get, what, 12 frames per
and
second
20
mechanical?
Yep.
That's insane. Now, Canon did it once before. They went and dropped the EOS R, one of the slowest, most laborious cameras ever to be made, but it was their first introduction into the mirrorless world.
Yeah.
We got 20
keep in mind,
of them.
that was, the guts were basically a 5D Mark IV. It was really just a new body.
And we got 20 of them in the off-site location for Fun to Photographer right now. You know, we got 20 to give away, which is insane. But then they came out with an R5 and R6 on the same day. They dropped an R5 and R6, and you're like, holy shit, a 45 megapixel camera, a 20 megapixel camera that uses the same sensor as the 1DX Mark III.
And that just came out like the year prior.
Yeah. You're like, wow, this makes the Z6 and Z7 look like a piece of garbage. It just, what they offered was just like autofocus that worked and amazing. So they've done it before. Will they over deliver this time around again with whatever the R1 is and whatever this R5 Mark II might be?
And a lot more competition now, because now you have something like a Z8, which is essentially it's a Z9 in a Z8 compact body. And then you have the A9 III, which obviously global shutter, a world's first. How are they going to compete with those two bodies? That's the thing. Is the R5 going to be just a mini R1, just like the Z9, Z8? Are they going to kind of go that route? We'll see.
I don't know, man. But hey,
they essentially copied what Nikon did with the Z6, Z7 by putting out the R6, R5. You know, the $2,000-ish camera with the $3,500 higher megapixel camera. Will they do the same now with Nikon and with what Sony's doing?
What if these are the specs of the R1? Like, what if it's 45 megapixel stacked sensor with 30 frames a second, but then there's 60 and 120 and pre-shooting? What if the R1 hits at 45, which I don't think it's going to hit at 45?
But then it's just a Z9. You know, it's like, I think they need to go above that. I think that this is the issue we had with the Z9, was that they were going to be behind the A1 and the R3, the other flagship cameras, because they're putting it out much later and they're just catching up. I think Canon's going to be in the same ball field if they're just catching up with the other flagships, and then they're already working on their Mark IIs.
Let's just say that if a R5 Mark II comes in at the price of, it's usually $3,800 when it comes out, and then it ends up on sale at $3,200 or $3,400 at some point. $3,800, that will outshine an R8 and an R9. Sorry. Z8 and Z9. So many words these days. So many different things.
A Z8 is $4,000 right now, right? $3,999.
I know it can't be, because the Z9 is even more expensive. Is only $4,500. Nikon Z8, isn't it $3,800? $3,400 at B&H right now.
Well, it's $3,500 on sale right now. $3,996. So $4,000 brand new when it first came out, and the Z9 was $5,500 when it came out.
Wow.
But the Z9's still $5,500.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be $3,899 like the R5 came out, or $3,999. I think it's going to be right there, which is expected. Question is what the R1's going to be. I still think upwards north of $6,000, $7,000.
Yeah. Yep. I'm saving my pennies for one day for them to just send it to me, and I can have it as a long-term loaner.
Yes.
That would be ideal. Yeah, so that's what we got in terms of those cameras. Hopefully we know something soon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rumors flying from these people these days. Some of them are right in the long run, but the moral of the story is, if you hear a rumor of specs, don't take it as fact.
Yes.
And don't get upset when Canon, Nikon, Sony, anybody else announces a camera and it doesn't have that that amazing spec that the rumors said. It's not Nikon, Canon, or Sony's or Panasonic's or anybody else's fault that those rumors were what they were. So you can't get upset at those companies.
I do think Canon Rumors has an inside source because they were correct about that May 15th date, which they rumored back in April about, and May 15th is when the R1 got announced. Now, granted, they said it was going to be a dual announcement. That didn't happen, but still they got one thing right. It was May 15th. And now they're saying, they just posted another article called The R5 Mark II Buzz is Growing in the Background. At the bottom of this article, it says, we do know a few things more about the R5 Mark II that we are unable to publish at this time, but I can assure you we don't have long to wait, and the wait will be worth it. So I think they know something big that if they do reveal it, their source will be revealed. I think they have someone really close on the inside. And they did also put an update saying there will be no development or official announcement of the R5 Mark II next week, which they were also rumoring. So it's all hit or miss, man. Let's throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what works and sticks.
That's why we don't we don't report on rumors because we can't report on rumors.
I mean, we do in Fix.
Well, let me finish my statement, Stephen. We don't report on sources.
Correct.
Because we can't do that because generally speaking, with a lot of gear, as you know from the past, we're under NDA to review certain things.
Yes.
Not in this case this time around. We know nothing. Yeah. But when it happens, we couldn't do that. We couldn't be like, our sources are telling us that this is what's coming, because we can't be a news source at that point. We can only report on
what's publicly available, like these rumor websites.
Yep. That's all we choose to do, because we don't want to ruin the ability to be what we are. And that's the same for Petapixel. That's the same for all the other reviewers out there, is you don't want to burn a bridge trying to have a gotcha just because you did a rumor thing. Like, that's just stupid in our world. We don't need it. We don't need to chase rumors to be a rumor site. We just will announce what we announce when we put out the camera video that we had a hands-on with, and that's what we do.
Yep.
We're going to wrap it up right there. I got to get to the airport at some point to pick up my dad. I got to see how his flight is. He's doing it at 1 o'clock, and then he's got to get through customs and blah, 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 and then I got to go pick him up and then bring him home. And that's it, Stephen.
Hopefully he had a good time.
I'll hear about it.
In Spanish, right?
Yeah, I'm going to ask him, did you use any of your Spanish?
I hope he did.
Everybody spoke English.
That's probably what will happen, yeah.
But hopefully he did get to use it a little bit, and that's good. He went back to school to take his Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, and I'm curious if he's going to take any more classes or just focus on traveling versus taking classes at college.
Yeah.
But hopefully he met some people. I know that he met a few couples that live not too far from us or from him.
Good.
And that's kind of cool, because maybe he made some new friends, which is the whole point. You got to put yourself out there to meet people, and then maybe they go on a trip together and skip the whole company, right? You don't need the company if you can just plan a trip yourself.
Yeah.
So
cool.
We're going to leave it there. Episode 103. You could text us at 313-710-9729. That is the phone number to text us. I still reply. Steven replies. We do read them, and that's it. Anything you want to leave with, Steven?
No, I guess speaking of leaving feedback, if you guys also want to leave some reviews, it's been a minute. Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Nothing less.
5 stars.
All great comments. Positive.
5 stars, or go fuck yourself. That's it.
Yep.
You can leave a comment that Jared said leave 5 stars or I'll go fuck myself. Greatest show ever. Mickey Mouse, the best character ever.
All right.
Okay, Steve. Whatever. Are you going to go back to Disney? Did you just go to Disney?
I just went.
You did?
In February, yes.
Well, I mean, you go like once a year, don't you?
Hopefully not. I'm trying to do every 2, 3, 4 years. Like, my wife wants to go every year. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Every 5 years. I think that's a nice sweet spot.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good to me. I want to go with you next time. Oh my God, I just got anxious and tension thinking about it. It is a miserable fucking experience. You want $20 for a Mickey Mouse waffle?
With you is what I'm talking about.
$20 for a Mickey Mouse waffle? Fuck you.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Jesus, I don't like. I would make your trip miserable.
Yes, you definitely would.
Daddy, can I have a water? Daddy, can I go here? Daddy.
You would be my child on the trip.
Oh God, it sounds
complaining more than Hannah.
so bad, so bad.
All right,
I can't even do it. It'd be so hot. It would be so hot. I just don't even want to walk around in that heat.
Well, that's
I'd
why
be
we
so
went in February,
miserable.
because it wasn't that bad. It was like 70 degrees, no humidity. It was actually really comfortable for once.
Okay.
Don't go in
guys.
August, because I did that before and it was terrible.
Terrible. Thank you guys very much for listening. 103 RAWtalk. JaredPolinPhotosphoto.com. See ya.
Bye.